Hello? Can anyone around here speak basketball?
It's the Confederacy of Dunks Basketball Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and what's up? Welcome to the Confederacy of Dunks
Basketball Podcast. See, I jumped onto there.
Yeah, I don't like
I'm trying to one-up you now.
Your voice sounded so weird. I'm irritated. Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah.
I'm your host, Freddie Rivas. Who are you, sir?
I'm the producer, Matt Duncan.
And if someone wanted to find us, help us, get famous and get to Zach Lowe, Bill Simmons territory, how might they do that?
You know what? I'm going to start with YouTube because we're up to 5 subscribers now.
Holy smokes.
We get an average of 3 to 4 views an episode.
Yeah.
But if you do want to listen there, if you're one of them crazy cats, you can listen to the episodes there. And, I put a nice little sound bar in with the audio.
Oh, wow.
So it's stimulating. It's
Thanks.
nice. And you get to stare at a picture of the guests for the entire episode. And but we're also on iTunes. We have to
iTunes. We're on iTunes.
iTunes.
Like, share, subscribe.
Yeah, like, share, subscribe. We're on Spotify if you want to listen to your Rolling Stones playlist and then put us on after. We're available there too. And Player FM. Let's not forget. Yeah. Freddie has a sponsorship through Player FM.
That's right.
If you could just share, talk it out with people, let them know that we're, a fun Raptors podcast, and we've got great guests on all the time.
Word of mouth, we need it.
Yeah.
It's the end of the regular season.
Charlie Villanueva liked our post.
He did. That was big.
He commented and gave us the praise sign.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then I was
huge.
like, "Hey, Charlie," and he was like, "No worries." Yeah. But whatever,
hey, we got that emoticon.
It's pretty sick.
Yeah.
This is the end of the regular season.
Last game tonight.
Last game. We're gonna record through it. The Timberwolves game.
Yeah.
Hopefully nobody gets hurt.
Yeah.
Nobody get hurt. And it's playoff time, baby. But we're gonna do some summary things, and we're gonna look ahead to one of the guests who I'm gonna bring on first. She said my questions are boring.
Oh,
and
burn!
Let's just say this: I'm rattled to the core. I'm ready to ask those questions. I'm gonna try and jazz them up.
All right.
She's hilarious. She's one of my favorite basketball people. She's writing for everything you watch, and she's great. Give it up for Cathryn Naiker.
Like this part where it
comes together. Okay, you know it too much.
Catheryn's been on a lot. I know the song.
What's
Hello.
up, Cathryn? Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me. If you don't get a 6th YouTube subscriber after this, I'll be pissed.
We will. Well, can it be you? Would it be you?
You know what? I'm going to hold out, see if anyone else listening subscribes. And if within a week no one does, I will be the 6th subscriber. But hopefully I'm the 7th.
That's big.
Yeah.
This next guest, I know he'll hit us up on various platforms. He'll subscribe. No worries about that.
Sweet.
He's hilarious. One of the funniest dudes I know. Great basketball opinions. He's got a dope hoodie on right now. He's got a great hat on. He's amazing. We were just talking some road dog stories and some old memories, which we won't talk about on this podcast because we're going to be talking ball. Give it up for Alex Wood. Wow. His song's so contemplative.
Yeah. Yo, I can't believe you guys got a smoke machine just for this. It's a podcast. It doesn't even really make sense. By the way, see what that says? Subscribed, as in...
Oh, that's why he was on his phone. Okay, that's pretty cool.
That's how you
I left my phone in my bag.
Honestly, no worries. We got our 6th subscriber. I'm pretty sure that's all we need. Right?
Yeah, we're partners now for sure with YouTube.
Well, now you guys are eligible for the payments, right?
Yeah.
Now YouTube starts sending you that sweet
That's right.
6 money.
We're gonna monetize, get some in Forest Hill, right?
Yeah.
Get a home in Forest Hill.
You know what? I'm still going to wait a week. I'm going to see who else subscribes.
Wait a week, see if Alex unsubscribes.
That's true.
Okay, let's get cracking here. Matt, I don't remember this player, so it might be a easy path to an A+ for you. But why don't you tell me something I don't know about William Cunningham?
You know what? Of all the players, I've been looking for this type of player, and I'll tell you why in a second. Ooh. He played one game for the Raptors in the 97-98 season. Okay. He actually only played 1 minute.
Cheers.
In that game. Yeah. Which I think of all the players, he's a vet, but of all the players that I've researched, I think that is the least amount of time played by a Raptor that I've researched so far.
Wow.
1 game, 1 minute.
That's all. You're already at an A+.
Because of that 1 minute, 1 game, he only gets a 1 fact. And here it is.
Okay. I like your rules. I like that. Yeah, this is,
harsh.
No, be punitive, Matt. This is weird and good.
Did you know that he is now a high school teacher in the special ed department in a high school in Georgia? And of course, he coaches the basketball team.
Okay. I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
I don't even know his name yet.
I know you probably get this stuff from the internet, but it always sounds like you found it out yourself. It sounds like you were at that high school last week. You're like, did you know, though? He has an assumed name, and no one found him but me.
You know what? I'm actually flying into Georgia next month. Maybe I'll check it out.
Cheers.
That's great.
Well, no, honestly, thanks, Alex, because, like, you know, people probably don't know if they're at home, but Matt puts on a whole detective uniform for this bit, and he has a hat and the long kind of like.
Yeah, before the podcast, we have to ask him for his gun, and then the other gun at his ankle.
For sure,
it's true. Some of these guys are hard to find out stuff about. You know, I feel like one of the detectives in Seven. It's tough.
Yeah, I think, when I think about you, I'm like one of the detectives in Seven.
I can't remember the actors.
One of those guys.
It's Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman. I can't decide which one of them you look more like.
Maybe the guys in the bullpen. Maybe the guys that didn't make the cut.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, I get it. One of the guys who auditioned for the role. Okay, this is good.
I thought you were talking about like one of the other
in the background.
detectives.
That's what I meant. Yeah. Just like in the background, they're just answering the phone.
Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman are working on a serial killer, and you're in the back like, I'm getting facts on Raptors bench warmers from the 90s.
All right, Maddie, let's move on to some Raptor stuff. Give me that Raptors sting.
Bobby Webster to sort of shawarma, your meal is ready. Could I get the Raptor to the OVO Athletic Center? You forgot your Presto card.
Is that one new?
Well, it's a part of my new...
the weird, it's part of you're looping the Raptor.
My Scotiabank announcements.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. You're looping the Raptor with the Presto card and OVO
He
Center,
definitely has a Presto card, 100%.
Just keep going. In whatever direction you're heading. But I think Cathryn's still wondering the name of the player.
Yeah, we never.
Oh, William Cunningham. Did you not say it?
Oh, yeah, you said it right off the top.
I missed it.
I think you forgot it immediately because
I immediately
played 1 minute.
forgot.
That's all right. Well, 1 game, 1 minute.
There we go.
Okay, Cathryn, let's start with you on this. Okay, let's see if I can jazz up this question. It's the last pod before the playoffs. Well, I just want to do a little bit of an exercise here. Based on this season alone, so the production from this season alone, your own opinion, if they played 1 game and you think they were the most impactful person on the Raptors, fair enough. But this regular season, excluding the Minnesota game that's happening right now, who do you think are the 3 most impactful Raptors?
I'm gonna start with Siakam.
Okay, is that your number one? Like, is he your number 1 Raptor this year?
He's my number 1 Raptor this year. He might not be the most impactful player, but he's my number 1.
Well, he's in my top 3. He was barely injured. He was amazing.
Very consistent throughout the season. So improved. Like, he, over the summer, was like, I love this bench mob, but I'm not going to be a part of this bench mob. And I'm going to be in the starting lineup, and I'm going to be like the man. I'm going to take game-winning shots, and I'm going to be this, like, go-to guy. And I mean, we wouldn't be the same if he didn't do that. Even with Kawhi.
He was kind of like a subplot for parts of the season, but then he would like push forward and be like, wait a second, this is like the real story. This guy is having an Oladipo type of coming out party.
I like that it's been low key, because then that pressure will happen later. But you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's about to happen with the playoffs.
Yeah.
Well, Alex, I'll jump to you. Is Siakam on your list of top 3 impactful Raptors this season?
Yeah, for sure. He's on my list because he's also like not only got the points and not only playing great defense with tough assignments, he's the engine of the team.
Good point with tough assignments there. He covers Giannis. He's covered Simmons. Sorry.
Yeah. He gets lit up by them too, but they light up everybody. And at least he gets his. And I think he's the engine of the team. Like if this year's Raptors were like the Avengers, they're clearly setting up for a Pascal solo movie this summer. You know,
I like that, and yes, they are, and yes, he should be in an Avengers film, regardless of anything else.
Just as Pascal Siakam.
Yes, he's his own superhero. It would be like he breathes fire and runs real fast. Come on.
And he's got the sickest shoes. Like, I love that he just does not give a fuck what matches. And those baby blues he was wearing earlier this year.
I like that.
I loved it.
I like the non-matching, especially if it's bright orange or bright green or bright blue or something. I like pastel colors.
I do too.
Yeah. And I think that I was also biased because I was at the what did he put up, 45?
I think we both were. Is that the Utah game?
Yeah,
where Kawhi had his career high, I think, and Siakam had his career high. Or so Siakam had many a career high.
No, I was at Jeremy's first game.
Oh, okay.
And I was in the 4th row. It was luxurious.
Wow.
Ooh, pardon me, sir.
Yeah. Oh, guys, scalpers. It was only $150.
Whoa.
What?
Yeah, they were playing some bum squad. I can't remember.
Yeah. Okay, so we all have Siakam. Who else is on your list of?
I'll go next because this is going to be controversial and I'm going to get angry about it. But Kyle,
okay.
Especially if we're using the word impactful. Look at the team's like advanced stats and their record when he's in the lineup versus when he's not.
Yeah.
They have looked like they can play with the Warriors when that offense is like this odd combination of like Kyle running sick plays and then getting Kawhi his touches with like ISOs. I liked the offense better earlier this year when it was Kawhi was almost the second option.
Oh, so you like the kind of like
ball movement,
team ball, then Kawhi so?
Yes.
Kawhi
like,
so.
Hey, I don't think I made it up. I don't think I made it up.
It's the first time
Kawhi so ball has been floating around. So, you know.
All right.
I do like the term, though.
It's very nice.
It's pretty apt. Is Kyle also on your list?
Yeah. Adding
he
to
is
that,
for me, too.
This is not controversial to me at all.
Okay, so
because you were like, this is going to be controversial. It isn't.
Well,
I'm completely.
I'm curious.
With you.
So I'm curious, Alex, why you are thinking it's controversial, because I had another guy prominently on my list, kind of squared away, and I had a kind of internal debate between Kyle and someone else, and I feel like the person I left off, Kyle's like my number 3, and the person I left off, I feel like I really snubbed. So yeah, maybe I'll go.
Clearly I'm confused by what you're even saying.
So sorry. My 3 is Pascal, number 1. Number 2 is Kawhi. I think he's only played 58, 59 games, but I think the impact is still there.
Clearly.
As far as like overall confidence. And, you know, he didn't miss half of the games. And yeah, I had Kyle, even though Kyle's missed some games, I just think he's such the heartbeat of this team, and he's still so good. But I think Serge has had such an excellent year that I felt bad.
Comeback year.
I felt bad leaving him off. And then Danny has been excellent as well, but I didn't really feel bad about leaving Danny off.
See, I felt bad about leaving Danny Green off because he did. Maybe not impactful isn't a good word for, but consistency has just been like what he has brought to this team is like, and his defense been like steadily on the rise.
It's been amazing.
Yeah.
So, Cathryn, do you also have Kawhi? Do we all have Kawhi, Pascal, and Kyle?
I was going to, I mean, this is me twisting your question a bit.
Twist it.
It's not twisting it. It's making it less boring.
It's a boring question. Twist it into something fun. You know what I mean?
I was going to maybe, I guess it is cool.
Matt just winked at me.
I was going to maybe say Serge. Why? Is that because we have to move on?
No.
Oh, you think that's one of my signals?
One of your signals?
Yeah.
You're calling a play here?
Wrap it up. No, not at all. But I will say, speaking of Kyle, Freddie, Explain it.
Oh, that's right. I forgot my favorite segment that I always abandon, which is
Quickish Questions.
Oh shit, that's not it.
Okay, not just hitting buttons.
That's my favorite.
Okay, take it easy. Take it easy. So Kyle is every time he passes someone on the all-time 3 points made list, I announce it like a Hunger Games thing, like they've died.
We play the canon.
So he just passed Nick Van Exel. Kyle Lowry. He won't pass
Tim Hardaway.
Tim Hardaway, who's 10 threes. Maybe
he will tonight.
Maybe it's 10 threes or 11 threes tonight.
11 threes.
But I think, so Kyle's going to start next year at 30 all time.
Wait, the playoffs don't count for this?
No.
I got a couple of new ones for the playoffs.
Oh, jeez.
You know what? Just because you brought up, Cathryn, we're going to get back to you because I feel like we interrupted you.
This is fine.
I'm just going to...
This is
very
interesting.
I'm just going to tease it for a second. I'm going to do Kawhi, all-time playoff steals.
Yeah.
I believe he's top, 40 or something already. Serge is already top 15 all-time blocks in the playoffs.
Wow.
So we're going to track that. And then also Danny Green is top 15 all-time in 3 points made in the playoffs. Oh. So I feel like it'll be fun to track all three of those guys. Now, that was a pretty big digression. Right in the middle of Catheryn's point.
Multiple stings and everything.
It was. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's fine.
Please. Do you remember where you were?
Yeah, but now I feel like I've kind of gone against it. Like, I was going to suggest that in
Serge,
my personal top three that Serge would be there, because I think Serge has had, for all the adjustments that we've had to make, like lineup per lineup, I think Serge has had to make so many adjustments and has also, like we were making with the Danny Green point, been very consistent regardless of his total minutes, starting off the bench. Like, he's had to adjust a lot.
Yeah, and he's had to sacrifice a lot, too.
And he's had to... yeah, exactly.
He started with Jonas.
I got tongue-tied, but I was just going to repeat everything you said.
Oh, no.
He's also had to sacrifice.
But yeah, he's been so... I think people really wrote him off last year after he, couldn't defend...
Yeah, and I did, too. I'll be honest. I was, looking for him to be traded. Mm-hmm. And the fact that DeRozan got traded and Serge didn't, I was pissed. All summer, I was just like, I don't know, man. I mean, and I'm a notoriously anxious Raptors fan.
Okay.
But which I think we're going to get to. But I was not feeling good about this team all last summer.
Yo, not to sound like Don Cherry too, but another thing about Ibaka is teams are going to think twice if they want to finish hard with elbows and shit this year.
For sure.
This guy's a fucking lunatic. He's going to charge us.
Yeah. He's very happy to be like, hey, everyone, I have a cooking show. Also, I'll try and punch your head off.
Yeah. He goes. He throws 80s fights, man.
He's got both those things going. He's like, I love cooking, but also Marquise.
But the cooking,
Chris, I'm gonna strangle you from behind. Cheers.
But there's nothing about the cooking show that makes him soft. I mean, he's eating
yeah, that's true.
Bull testicles and hearts and who knows.
I forget who made this joke.
Eating all kinds of crazy shit.
He very lightly seasons everything on that. There's not a lot of cooking going on. It's basically he puts Fear Factory things in a bowl and he's like, hey, how hungry are you? And
no, this is
not much.
This is so funny because you're just hot take alert, balls need salt. Balls need salt. Hot take alert. And that's why Kyle didn't like them. They just needed more salt.
Hot take alert, salt and pepper on the balls. We're good to go. Okay. No, so you were bringing up anxiety, Cathryn, and Alex, I'm going to jump to you first on this. I want to dive into the Raptors' psyche a little bit, in that I think there's a lot of reason to assume everything will go wrong somehow for Raptors fans, but also this team is genuinely different. There's a lot of different players. There's a new coach. Yeah, there's some holdover. The competition's different. Where's your head at heading into the playoffs? Are you like, oh, even the first round's not a gimme. Nothing's a gimme. We're the Raptors. Or are you kind of like, hold a sec. We have some serious talent. We should go deep.
Well, to be honest with you, if they don't, I've said this from the beginning of the year, I really feel like if it takes them 6 or more to get out of the first round, they won't go to the finals.
Right,
and that's another very Don Cherry type opinion. But hey. I'm telling you, if they don't get it done in 4 or 5,
yeah, remember Jagger, buy a vowel, oi.
Oh, man.
Sorry. That's the worst Don Cherry impression.
I'm like, he says oi.
He doesn't say oi.
You think Don Cherry's an old Jewish man?
Yeah,
he says oi, I think.
So what, all the fighting and the hockey, is it necessary?
That would make hockey more interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great. These players should bring their coats.
So are you kind of saying, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but are you kind of saying that if we struggle against a team that's so bottom feeding like Brooklyn or Orlando or Detroit.
Yeah. Look who we're going to get in the second round. In the second round, it's going to it's going to be a massive It's going to be a good team.
Yeah.
For sure. You need to fucking get shit done. Sorry. You need to get the job done.
You can swear.
Oh, you need to motherfucking end this shit,
sir,
early. And I don't, you know what I mean? It is troublesome that Brooklyn's given us trouble. It's obviously troublesome that Orlando just beat us every game. And line up. It's got to get done now that everyone's healthy. Everyone's playing like 4 or 5.
Follow-up question: do you think that Nurse's kind of like long term approach to this year, as far as all the lineup experimentation and not a ton of resting? I think Kawhi was kind of doing his own thing, but it seems like he's experimented. Like I've said all year, he's had a mandate to experiment. Do you expect that to pay off? Do you think that's going to help us in the playoffs? Like, are you into Nurse? Like to his plan?
Some of the lineups that go out are confusing, and it is
our bench has been weak all year because of it.
Yeah, and it's weird too in the playoffs too because we finally have that team where it's like, only 8 people should be on the floor.
That's right,
unless it's garbage time. We finally have that team where we want that 5 out as much as possible.
That's a great point. Totally. Like I keep saying, like, is Kawhi going to play 42 minutes? Because that's what I want. I don't want to debate should it be OG or Norm. I just want Kawhi to play the whole game. Mm-hmm. Like that's kind of like that's what Giannis is going to do. If we play Milwaukee, Giannis is going to be like, I'm going to sit during TV timeouts. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to play every minute. So if you want to bring out Norm, I'll eat his heart out.
Exactly.
That's what's going to happen. Sorry, I feel like I jumped on your...
No. I agree with everything you said. I really feel like it's got to be a very, very small rotation. Like, I mean, we all know it'll be like, the 5 and then probably like Fred.
Yeah.
Because it has to be.
And Serge or
then Serge or Mark.
Yeah. I feel like there's a 7 and then 8 and 9 is Norm and OG.
Exactly.
Depending on how
I was going to say OG is the 8, but I thought Norm's looked really good this year.
Yeah, he's looked great. Especially recently.
I think Norm looks better than OG overall.
I think so too.
It's almost probably a popular opinion, but
no, I think
I agree with you, and it's just, but I won't say it out loud because it feels weird.
It doesn't feel right.
Well, I think OG clearly has more upside as far as like his length and his strength, but he just doesn't look super fluid, and Norm's knocking down shots. Norm's knocking down shots, and he looks hungry, and he looks like, hey, if you play me for 7 minutes, I'm stealing the ball twice, I'm going to hit a 3, and I'm going to do something good. He seems like he's there.
I think Norm has looked fantastic ever since he came back from a shoulder injury.
Totally agree.
And I think OG, as much as I like him, is not consistent enough, right? Like, he'll have one amazing game, and then he'll have 2 games where you kind of forget about him.
And he looks more unsure, right?
Yeah, and he's a bit, and I think he needs that one more year of development before he gets, like, a lot of crucial playoff minutes. I know you were going to maybe put this later in the podcast. I don't think OG should play more than 10 minutes a game. Like,
I think that's totally fair.
Like, I think Norm's really worked hard, and I just feel like he's earned it. He's earned being that 8th guy off the bench.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. And I feel like as far as the 8th guy, it's going to be so situational. And
even he will probably have 10 minutes at best. Like, I don't even think Norm will have more than 10, but I feel like he's earned that.
I'm hoping Norm or OG get 10 minutes if they're playing good. Type of thing. Like, I hope
either or. Like, I think in the first round, like, there could be a blowout game and Jeremy Lin can get 10 maybe, you know what I mean? Like, that kind of thing. But
I'm hoping we see Boucher sling some threes.
Yeah, I could anticipate some first round blowouts, but otherwise, I mean, that 8th guy is, in my opinion, it's Norm. I don't think it's OG. And I don't want to see anybody else after that. Even though Jody Meeks had a couple good games.
Hey, you get some threes.
So did Patrick McCaw. Like we've got a good bench, but no.
So playoff rotations aside.
Yeah.
Cathryn, the Raptors fan.
Yeah.
How are you feeling as far as, we got LeBron toed last year.
So I feel...
Are you traumatized? Are you trusting in Nurse? Where are you at?
I feel better this year than I have in a lot of other previous years, but I do still have some hesitation.
Yes. And this is what I like. Do you trust that feeling? This is where I'm going.
I never trust these feelings. I will always...
I want to break down.
I will always be anxious. I will always. There will never be a time.
Right?
I will be a 50-year-old woman annoying other younger fans, just crossing my fingers, drinking my white wine, like really...
See... This is where I'm getting at.
Getting antsy over every play. I just will be that person. But all of that aside, I do feel better about this team. I don't think the bad mojo, if you will, the bad vibes of previous years are really there. I don't think we need to run into the locker room with sage and crystals and, you know what I mean? Exercise our demons. Yeah.
I'm just picturing the three of us.
I mean, maybe I do,
Matt.
but it would be for myself, not necessarily.
Yeah, like I want to film you doing that because you know what I mean. Like,
I would like
you'd have
love
a song and
to do that.
People will be into it.
I'm happy to be a part of that sketch.
Yeah, we'll film a bit.
Yeah, we'll film a bit, but and to your other question, I feel good about what Nick Nurse has done this year. I mean, I know in a previous podcast, I did claim that he's the love of my life and that I'm very in love with Nick Nurse. But aside from that...
Besides the fact that he's hot and sexy in your eyes.
Sexy and very married and all that.
Yeah.
But I do really like what he's done this season. But I also feel this like, okay, well, now we have to see it really work out.
Yeah.
Right? Because all this like holding back, experimenting. And I think part of the experimenting is he doesn't want to lay out all his cards. He doesn't want other teams to see the kind of plays are going to run. He's been very secretive.
And he's said as much. He's like,
yes.
He's like, I've seen combinations that other people have. And I feel like some of those combinations I don't need to see in a live game to know.
Right.
And that's with stuff that works and doesn't. So
it's like, we just have to see that really pay off. And we will, because there'll be a timeout. They'll run a play that we haven't seen before, and hopefully it'll be a wide open shot and it works. And even if it doesn't go in, it's like, okay, well, like that's what we were doing all this for. That's why we weren't going for 60 wins in the regular season, right? Like that's why. So I'm very anxious and curious to see how all of this will truly play out. And I'm not as anxious about the first round. I'm more anxious about the second round, the third round, because I want to be there, and I don't want it to tank. Like I don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I want to be in the Eastern Finals, and I want it to be competitive.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I'm so confident. I don't know if it's because of the winners like Gasol and Kawhi and Green, or if or Pascal or Nurse, or what exactly it is. But I just feel like it's not like the Raptors have like gotten the monkey off their back per se, but I feel like
no, because the media is going to hound them, especially the American media.
And I think like Alex, like we're actually going to hop to, like if we don't decisively deal with one of these crappy teams, then that's not going to count.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're not going to dodge that. Like we do have to, really eliminate a team easily.
Yeah, I agree with Don Cherry. That is what has to happen.
But I will say, just to voice the anxiety, I also imagine scenarios where Kawhi stubs his toe and shuts himself down.
You know what I mean? All I'm picturing now is fucking Pascal like tearing his quad, and everyone's like, "Yo, that looked like such a small fall," and it was like, "No, but he had like 7 crystals in his pocket. I don't even know where this shit came from."
He had crystals
and then,
from
and then Naiker's the new Steve Bartman and has to like hide out in Toronto.
Yeah, I think
that's a crystal lady.
I think Cathryn is the new Steve Bartman. Is going to be like an investigative pod that like starts from this pod.
That's always been my goal, to have my own 30 for 30.
It's going to happen. But wait, Alex, let's jump to. I think you mentioned it earlier. You won't feel good if it takes us 6 games.
Even 6.
What about 5?
5's fine. 5's fine.
I'm fine with 5 too.
Home court advantage in the NBA. If you can steal 1 on the road, be up 3-1 coming home, and then take care of business at home in 5, like you should. I don't give a shit.
Same.
But it would be nice to get they've never even done it.
Exactly.
I was about to say they never sweep. They've never even 5'd.
We've never 5'd.
That's ridiculous.
Our best ever, our most convincing series win was last year against Washington because we were a bit more comfortable closing it out than we were the year before with Milwaukee. I don't know if you remember that, but that Milwaukee, that super scary last 6 game. Other than that, it's been all 7-game victories. Indiana.
But that's the thing too. We've always been a very grinded out team. Even when we've been good, we've been grinded out. And when everybody starts playing that way and playing as hard as we do in the regular season, that's where you've always seen these teams we looked better than them because we had a bench and we outworked them. Bench doesn't matter anymore, and now everyone's working hard. All of a sudden, we don't look like a good team. That's why this year it's okay. Now it's different. When Kawhi's on the court, it's nuts. It's like you can't believe you're watching the Raptors. It still is surreal.
Yeah, and he kind of does his own thing in terms of being in terms of the pressure as well. He seems like he's evaluating the game in a way that's just kind of unflappable. I swear, I think it was 2 games ago in the first quarter, I saw him miss 4 shots, and I'm like, man, Kawhi's cold tonight. And his final shooting line was 12 for 17. So I was like, wait a second. So you just missed 1 shot for the rest of the game? And he finished with a calm 23 points. And I'm like, this guy just has a way of bringing calm that I think a lot of Raptors fans haven't experienced before.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And adding to that, I feel like in the KC era, it was those grinded out wins. Every game we won was just so ugly.
Yeah.
It was just so ugly and so painful. And so it was hard to even celebrate those wins because they were just so,
I remember beating Milwaukee. I was with my brother Thomas and his partner, and we had a shot. I was like, let's have a shot because the Raptors had such a big lead. And Thomas was like, this is bad. Don't do this. I'm like, we got this. We figured him out. We put Norm Powell in the starting, this 2 years ago. We put Norm Powell in the starting lineup. Jason Kidd's rattled. We got this. And then we had the shot and basically watched the whole second half as Milwaukee had that incredible run. And obviously DeRozan had the I got us dunk. That kind of solidified that win, but we barely got out of there, and then Cleveland just crushed us. And that was a moment for me where I was like, okay, I didn't have full egg on my face, but I had a scrambled egg on my face or something.
I disagree with Cathryn too. First of all, I think your questions are entertaining.
Oh wow, that's big for me. Cheers.
But I just an entertaining ECF isn't enough for me. Going down on their swords in 7 to Milwaukee or Philly or whatever is just not going to be enough for me.
Your finals are bust.
Wait, but that is what I'm saying. I think we're saying the same thing.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said you'll be good if they go to the Eastern Conference Finals and put up a good fight. I'm not.
Oh, well, I sort of did say that because I don't know if we're making it to the finals.
See, it's got to be finals because that will feel like if we go down in 7 to Giannis, okay, it'll feel like we're cursed. This is also just my Raptors and other things coming in. But
hey, I'm talking anxiety.
As soon as the LeBron era ends, the fucking Giannis era starts.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. What if that is oh my god, it's one thing to get trapped with one of those guys, and then to be the bridge. There was no bridge between them that we didn't even get to ride. We can't even be like the Houston Rockets of the 90s or some shit like that. Yeah. It really freaks me out to think about. And then also Philly. It's only a matter of time before Simmons learns how to shoot. The East is turning crazy.
I think so. I mean, I feel like it's been getting draft picks for such a long time, and there's been so much bad management in the Eastern Conference, but some teams are figuring it out, and I think in the coming years they're going to get even better. Sorry.
I think you make a good point in that it's got to be this year. If it isn't this year, it's just never happening.
How can it be when Boston?
Yeah.
No matter what they do with this war chest, will get better. Even if they lose Kyrie, they'll get better eventually.
Yeah.
And if they get Anthony Davis, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And then Philly, like I said, it's a matter of time, and then obviously, Giannis is a very, very special player.
I think Philly and Boston, just a little side tangent here before we move on, are both kind of in unique situations. They're loaded with talent. I think Boston's in a safer situation, but I also think that there's going to be a day where Horford's too old and they don't have a versatile center. But maybe that center's Davis. But I think that they're on the threshold of having their most important player by far be too old for them to be elite.
But it's his basketball IQ is what makes him.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
He's like Gasol. He's like, I'll be good when I'm slow for a bit.
Yeah.
Philly, I think that I don't know about if Ben Simmons is going to figure out his shot, but I think that he's kind of underrated as is because he's already a really good defender and Embiid's going to continue to get better. I think they can muck that up with Butler and Harris if they don't get the right contracts in order. They can they're one more bloated salary away from being in a not great situation. I think Milwaukee is the team that I'm like, I just don't see how they get bad. Maybe they lose a bunch of their free agents, but they already got Bledsoe. I think if they have Bledsoe, Middleton, and Giannis, that's bad news. That's the team for a very long time, I think.
See, here's the thing. I think a lot of people have always, because, for instance, the year that Steph won his MVP, Kawhi was second that year.
Yes,
that's what could make third. That's what could make the difference, and we could see that this year. And that's what I'm super excited about. Is playoff Kawhi is a real thing.
Oh man, totally.
Like if he at times has looked like the best player in the world.
Yeah, no, he's a nightmare. It's gonna be very exciting, and yeah, just him, Green, OG, Siakam, so much length. All good stuff. Okay, let's move on to some NBA stuff.
Freddie, before we do that, when you're talking about the Raptors going to the finals,
that's right.
Aren't you worried at all about Nick Nurse?
Nick Nurse?
Nick Nurse?
Yeah.
Aren't you worried about his throat at all from the screaming?
Yeah. Why? Do you have any?
Because he's not.
After 48 minutes of fouls, good calls, bad calls, slam dunks, and three-pointers, your throat can get a little raw. It's in these moments when I reach for my fisherman's friend.
Is he riding a fucking horse right now? What's the music?
He's in his study, and they're playing music, I guess,
commercial.
over it.
Wow, nurse.
For Fisherman's Friends.
I love that he's advertising for Fisherman Friends.
That they put it on their Fisherman's Friend Canada account 10 days ago. Guess how many views it has? 14.
Really? 14?
No.
I'm definitely one
14.
of those views. I've seen this commercial.
No, there's only.
Why is there only 14?
Wait.
You can't be serious. There's no way.
Swear.
No, you're going to hurt Catherine's feelings. Is his goatee looking good? What's it?
I recall him looking fairly fresh in the commercial.
It's pretty fresh. It's really shaved down.
Sure.
Yeah. It's not too pronounced.
Oh my God! Is there any white hairs in the goatee? What's going? Why is there no views?
Naiker, I love you, but if you're one of those 14 views,
who goes?
I'm going to make fun of you for the rest of your life.
You can, and I am one of those views. I got that. A friend sent that to me on Twitter, and I saw it, and then I tweeted about it, and I think I tweeted about it at you guys. Didn't you?
You did, yeah.
Yeah.
She did.
I tweeted it at Confederacy of
Cathryn.
Dunks. And the thing with Fisherman's Friends is that when I started...
The thing with Fisherman's Friends.
Yeah.
That's where we are.
And then she said, when I started, I'm like, please.
No. Let me finish. When I started comedy, I would get really nervous going on stage, and I was eating Fisherman's Friends every time before I went on stage. So it's so crazy that Nick Nurse, who I am genuinely in love with, is true. My throat gets dry and I use Fisherman's Friends. I'm like, this can't be a joke, Nick.
Listen,
this has to be real.
You better carry some extra Fisherman Friends in case
you know what? Nurse. I actually had to quit Fisherman's Friends because it was getting to be too much. It was getting to be too much. My throat was getting too raw, and whenever I did have a cough, they wouldn't work anymore. So I had to quit Fisherman's Friends, and now I use Tic Tacs.
Okay, that seems like as good a time as any. Matt, tell me something I don't know about Sharon Wright.
Sharon Wright.
I feel judged.
Do you remember?
Listen, If you're the 7th subscriber to our YouTube, we're all good.
I will be.
Until then, you keep your fisherman friends.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You keep those fisherman friend stories to yourself. Just kidding. What's up with Sharon Wright?
Let me tell you about Sharon Wright. He played 2.5 seasons for the Raptors, about 90 games from early on, 96 to 98. I heard your father-in-law in my head when I read this. He's a Clemson boy.
Oh.
Played for Clemson University, which is not what he votes
He
for.
hates Clemson.
Hates Clemson.
He likes South Carolina.
Fair enough.
Hates Clemson.
Okay, so not a big Sharon Wright fan.
No.
In his college days. Did you know that his career was cut short by a car accident when he broke his arms and his collarbone?
Ouch. Didn't know that. That sucks.
But he took a 5-year break, went over to Europe and Asia and played for a bit.
Oh, so he made like a full basketball recovery after
Yeah,
that. That's
yeah,
cool.
Yeah. He went and played overseas. And did you know that he's now a private coach in South Carolina?
Cheers.
With a company called Coach Up, which I guess their biggest names are in hockey. It's Cam Neely is a part of that, and Nerlens Noel.
Cool. Wait. What's the Cam Neely connection?
So he's like a part of the company that essentially they hire private coaches for athletes.
Is Cam Neely like, I'll teach you how to hock a loogie? And,
a hock a loogie?
Isn't he the guy who spat in a burger in Dumb and Dumber? Sorry, that's all he is.
No, he's an acting coach.
Yeah, he's a player. He's a player on NHL 93, and that, in my mind.
Seabass.
Kick his ass, Seabass.
I like that he's like, I can be an athletic coach, but if you want me to do acting as well, I can teach you that, because clearly he's a good actor.
Okay, that was all right. You got anything else on Sharon Wright?
That's about it. About it. Keeping them short.
I'm not going to give you an A+, but I'll give you an A.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I'm feeling good.
I feel like my parents are paying you off.
Yeah, they are. They're rich. Matt's parents are so rich, everybody.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm loaded because of that. Just kidding. I'd love to meet your parents. I'm sure they're nice people. Can you give me the NBA sting? Dum.
National Basketball Association.
For the kids who don't know.
Thanks.
Wow.
Yeah, thanks for thanks. I'm sure there's some kids that don't know what NBA stands for. Thanks, Matt. Wow. I'm gonna get beat up on the street one day because of you. Someone's gonna kick my lily ass. Okay. Cathryn, let's go to you first on this one. So there's two matchups that seem pretty decided with two games left. I think there are a couple different outcomes that could change that, particularly in the West. But let's start with Indiana-Boston. So Indiana-Boston seems pretty locked in. I think Boston has home court close to locked up or locked up.
Is this the 4-5?
This is the 4-5. Yeah, what's your take on that series?
I think this is going to be a very intriguing series.
Me too.
I do ultimately think that Boston is going to get their shit together and win this. I feel like my heart is with Indiana on this one, but my brain and anything that I would ever used to bet would be for Boston.
Right.
Yeah, I think they're going to get their shit together. Kyrie might keep his mouth shut for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then
so are they like
he'll fuck off in the summer.
Are they like shit together from day one of the playoffs? Is it like Boston?
Yeah,
oh, wow,
I think
Boston
so.
is amazing.
I think so.
Tatum's hot.
Yeah, I think so. This is what I predict.
Hey. So wait, can you want to give me a game number?
Oh, 6.
6. Okay. Alex, where are you at on this?
Boston at times this year has looked like the best team in the league. They're going to fucking come right from the start and win in 5.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be close, too. I mean, Hayward's been getting better. You look at what they did last year and the fact that they've added talent and the fact that they have a good coach, and they got some playoff guys, too. I mean, it looks like their young guys could have a playoff mode, and we know Kyrie does.
Well, we've seen it with Tatum. We've seen it with Tatum, Rozier, Smart, I think, and also Brown. We've seen them hit another gear.
Yeah, they're versatile. They're long, and I mean, you know, I like our 5 a little bit better than theirs. And then when you factor in, like, on paper, they have a better team than us. And that's ridiculous. I think really tough to out loud say. Hey. I think we have the best player, though.
I mean, at the beginning of the year, I felt bullish on the Raptors, but I said the Raptors were 1 and the Celtics were 1A. The Celtics definitely underperformed, but I think a lot of people remember what they did in the playoffs last year. They have a gear, I think.
Well, and that's just the thing, right? Like, they underperformed this regular season, and the Pacers outdid themselves. Right? So it's like, it's hard to tell, like, how that's going to translate into, when does it start this weekend?
Yeah, Saturday or Sunday.
Well, but that's like Indiana's like those Toronto teams with Dwayne Casey. Like, they've been grinding it out all year, and that was with Oladipo. And now, although he has said he's going to be the biggest fan.
Oladipo?
Yeah.
I love Oladipo.
I love him too.
Yeah,
okay, so I do think Boston's going to win. My take's a little bit different because I think it's in 7.
Oh.
I think Boston is going to figure it out around game 4. So I think the series is going to start, and they're really going to get punched in the mouth. I think Thaddeus Young's going to outplay Tatum and Brown. I think Turner's going to cause all sorts of problems. Sabonis is going to cause all sorts of problems. I think Sabonis is going to kill Baines. I also think Kyrie's really going to struggle being the number 1 option. I think it's going to be the first time he's ever been in the playoffs without LeBron, and the entire team is going to be focused on making him play worse. I think he is such an exceptional talent, and I think I'm such a fan of Horford that I think overall that's going to turn. And Stevens is going to find the right guys, but it's going to take some time where he's like, oh, wait a second, can I win this series if I bench Rozier? You know what I mean? Can I win this series if Kyrie's playing 35 minutes? I think there's going to be I think all the maneuverings with Boston, I think Boston has a ton of redundant talent. You know what I mean? Like, they have a lot of guys that can't shoot. They got a lot of wings that want to shoot, and they got a lot of guys that shoot in the mid range. So I think Brown, Tatum, Hayward, one of them has to basically be totally relegated for Boston to be like as successful as they want to be. That's why they've been so good with Smart in the lineup and Morris in the lineup, because they're guys who are kind of like Danny Green, where they're like, I'm just going to do this thing.
My job.
Yeah, I'm not worrying about my shoe contract. If you're a guy like Jaylen Brown, you're like, I'm a star. Give me the ball. This should be my team. And I think that they have a couple of those guys, and Kyrie obviously is the guy. But I think they're going to be more dangerous in the second round against Milwaukee. That's kind of my hot take with Boston.
See, I completely disagree. I think they're going to look like potential world beaters and then get fucking smoked.
Oh, I mean, I'm down.
No matter who they play, because if there's an upset and we end up playing them in the second round, no.
I'm such a Boston hater that I'm actually kind of okay with either outcome. Although my perfect outcome is that they look like world beaters and we sweep them in the conference.
I'd love
finals.
it.
That to me is like, I would actually write Masai and say, please don't go to the finals. I just want to die. You know what I mean? I would be like, if we swept Steven.
That's a weird letter.
That's a weird letter, actually. That's a little bit of Eminem stan, and I'm going to back off that take because Masai doesn't need that. Masai doesn't need that on his conscience. Don't put that on me, Ricky Bobby. Shout out to Michael Clark Duncan. Okay, let's hit up the other series that I think semi locked in. That's Portland, Utah. They're both kind of teams that are people don't necessarily watch that much, but I think it could be an interesting playoffs or series. Yeah, do you have an opinion, a take on Portland or Utah or their matchup?
So, admittedly, I have not watched either of these teams as much as I probably should have this year.
Yeah,
but it's one of
you're not watching Joe Ingles?
I am not,
ma'am.
But the thing with the Western Conference is that like it almost doesn't matter who comes out of this series because they are not making it past the second round. They are just not. Whether Portland wins or Utah wins, they are not getting past the second round.
Whoever this team is going to sweep the Warriors. Sorry, Cathryn, you're wrong.
And I just feel like, with Utah, they're still way too up and coming. And if they win against Portland, which they very well could because Portland's dealing with a lot of injuries right now, it would still be a success for them. For Portland, I feel like I kind of want them, here's my little hot take. I want Portland to lose this first round. And I love Portland, but I want that to happen because I want it to motivate them to do something big this offseason. Because I think Portland's too complacent being that first round, second round playoff team, and they haven't pushed it over the edge to be a real contender in the West. Ooh. And I think what they should do in the offseason is join the Anthony Davis conversation. Like, they need to do something big.
I think a lot of teams should. A lot of teams should. You just said a bunch of stuff that's super interesting to me because, like, the Anthony Davis conversation, especially if you're looking at Paul George, Kawhi, all these players who, like, so let's say Kawhi leaves, right? He's put the Raptors in a chance to win a championship. So if you're Portland and you're like, Anthony Davis for 1 year, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'll win one championship. That's okay. So I think that conversation is going to get changed a bit. And I totally agree with you about them being in the Anthony Davis sweepstakes. Although I was one of the people that thought if they didn't run into Anthony Davis, they wouldn't look so bad. And I'm a big proponent of not separating Lillard and McCollum. I think when you have that much talent, you keep it together and you try to work something out.
But I felt this way with DeRozan and Lowry, and look at us now.
I did. But I think it's like, if the opportunity presents itself, it's like, hey, would you trade McCollum for Durant? You're like, yes. If you're like, hey, would you trade McCollum for, some other, for Jimmy Butler? I'm like, no, definitely not.
No, but Anthony Davis to me and Jimmy Butler are not on the same.
I'm sorry. If McCollum's if I would trade Lillard for Davis. You know what I mean?
See, I would, if I'm Portland, I'm keeping Lillard, and anybody else is up for grabs. I would package anybody else for Davis.
Here's a question.
That's actually the better. You're correct because they have Lillard locked.
But I think what I'm saying is, if they win against Utah and they go to the second round, even if they're swept in the second round, they're not going to do it.
But what if? What if counterpoint? They play the Warriors, and they're like, they go to Anthony Davis and they're like, hey, if you were with us, we would have beat the Warriors. You know what I mean? What if it's like
that would be great, but what I am forecasting is that they won't do it if they win the first round, because what they'll say is, look, we won the first round against Utah and we had all these injured players.
Yeah.
Look at what we could do with our team. You know what I mean? And I think they need to do something big.
In the end, we both want the best for Portland.
Both want the best for Portland. This is true.
The Portlandites.
Yeah.
I didn't ask you about Utah, but I'm just going to jump over to Alex.
Well, just really quick about the whole Anthony Davis thing that no one's talking about, and I'd love to hear your guys' answers on this. Do you think we have seen Anthony Davis's peak? Because I don't think we have. And that changes who you would trade for him. It's like, good God almighty, this guy's undoubtedly a top 5 player in the league and could only be better.
We have not seen his peak.
Exactly. So that's insane. I would trade CJ for that. I mean, and that's a crazy tandem to want to break up, but
yeah.
Yeah. See, I guess I should kind of clarify my point a little bit. I think that complacency is weird in the NBA because it's also about chemistry and growth. And I think that if you have the opportunity to trade DeMar for Kawhi, you do it. If you have the opportunity to trade McCollum for Davis, you do it. If you have the opportunity to trade McCollum for, I don't know, like most other players in the NBA, you don't do it.
Oh, yeah, I agree with you.
You know what I'm saying? Like McCollum, in my mind, is a legit top 20 guy. So I think that, or top 20, top 25, he's around there. So there's a lot of lateral movement possible. But I mean, yeah, if you have an opportunity to get a guy that's a top 7 superstar type guy, basically you do it.
I mean, I'm basing a lot of this off of what happened with the Raptors last offseason and how it's panned out so far. Because Portland, like us a year ago, we're kind of in the same pattern for a long time. And I think they got to break the pattern somehow. And
I think like us last year, though, they got crushed by a specific matchup. I think if, they don't run into Anthony Davis, I think they wouldn't have looked as bad. Like Drew Holiday, Anthony Davis, that was just
Drew was playing
bad
unreal.
Scenario. They just got smoked.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, fair enough. I guess if you get smoked that hard by any team, how good can you be, right?
So I guess to answer your question, I'm picking Utah.
I like that. Do you have a Utah Portland prediction take of any kind?
I'm going to pick this one totally with my heart and just say that Dame averages 38 for the series and wins.
This is how I'm feeling.
In 6 or 7. And because Dame has always felt like that player that's like, we're going to remember him for one series. You know what I mean? It's just he's a victim of circumstance. It's hard to know because but just feels like the league's never been this deep. Like this kind of craziness where it's just like so many good players are just going to get left behind memory wise. And he's always seemed to me like he's going to end up with a legacy of like Reggie Miller Jr. And like Reggie has, that series against the Knicks is about as remembered as a series can be. That's not as a finals. And I could see this year being Dame's against like with those injuries, and he just goes, all right, on my back, and they win in like a crazy 7.
That's a good point. He does have some like Dirk in him too, where you're like, Lillard's gonna have his year, or something. Right? Yeah, totally. I think Utah's gonna win, but I think that Portland's gonna look good in that. As best as they could, but I think that the Nurkic Gobert scenario is just too deadly. Like they lost a guy who would slow down Gobert a little bit, and maybe that forces Portland to go full small ball, and that like presses that issue of like how Utah plays. But I think that he's going to give them enough cushion, and I don't think they're going to be able to like move Gobert off the court. I think he's going to be impactful.
I mean, we've seen that that's very tough.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's talk Warriors. This might just be a very short question.
They're winning.
They're winning. So in the West,
winning what?
Okay.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
I jumped the gun.
In the West, since they've got Durant, actually no, not even in the West. Since they've got Durant, no one has challenged them in a series except Houston, who fully almost beat them last year.
Yeah.
Obviously, we all know Chris Paul got injured for games 6 and 7. I think that it goes without saying that Houston has got themselves back to a level where not only do I think they could, I would expect them to win 2 games against the Warriors. Is that insane? Do you guys please jump in if it's like a
2
hard
games,
disagree.
not the series.
2 games. I'm talking 2 games.
Sure.
Six game series. Is there any other team in the West that you think either of you could take, or you would expect might take 2 games from the Warriors? So Nuggets,
I could see them take the Spurs really lightly, or a team like that.
The Warriors?
Yeah, it'd be more like the Warriors lose 2 games, but everybody knows it's just they just went into San Antonio after winning 2 at home. Like, we'll clean this up, and it's fucking pop.
Run into a good coach. Yeah. I think so.
Then DeRozan seemed like someone whose legacy will always be not one series, but I got 2 wins against the, you know what I mean?
Oh God,
doesn't it feel that way? That would be DeMar DeRozan's craziest thing, is like peeled 2 as the number 1 option off of them.
Catherine? What about the Thunder? I think
that's the team that could easily just do it.
I would pick the Thunder over the Spurs to get 2 games against the Warriors.
So would I. I was just saying I don't think it's as impossible to win 2 games against them.
Yeah, Westbrook approaches the game with that big murderous energy.
Murderous
energy.
I thought you said martyr. Like he's
no.
I like that word.
Like
martyrous and murderous.
Yeah, they both work actually.
Yeah.
They both work. Like he's just gonna have a monster game. So they're absolutely getting 1. 2 is a bit of a push, but it's certainly possible.
I feel
it's a tough place to play too.
I feel like
they hate Durant.
Yeah, and they fucking hate him.
If Russ got a nosebleeds. No, please. No. Okay, sorry.
That's the new Sting.
He's gonna pass you bar. If Russ had a nosebleed, I think he would in a game. He would genuinely like Fight Club pin down Durant and like bleed on him. You know what I mean?
He'd hold him down.
Out, people would be
trying to take the tissue out.
Oh,
and keep bleeding.
People would be trying to rip him off, and he'd just be like holding him down. He'd be like cupcake.
I mean, he would certainly want to.
He would.
He's probably dreamt of it.
And Steven Adams would be like, if anyone touches Russ, I'm gonna fart. or like, you know what I mean? Like,
that is not
something crazy, and then people are like, whoa.
The good old Aussie fart.
Like, don't. He's from New Zealand.
Oh, he's from New Zealand.
That's a Kiwi fart, man.
Oh, it's a Kiwi. Oh man.
Okay,
sorry.
That's maybe the dumbest joke ever on the pod.
Yep.
I could see that. His name was Kevin Durant, and then they all just started saying that creepy in unison.
Sure.
That's from the movie. I'm glad that part could be.
But ultimately, to wrap up the Warriors conversation, if they're going to actually go down in any way, it will, even if it is just 2 games, in my mind, it will be because they beat themselves. You know what I mean? Like it will be because they got in their own way.
I feel like you just like had like the ending line to like a really good like Star Trek Next Generation. Like, did you know we couldn't beat the Borgs, but actually the Borgs beat themselves. Cheers. Phase me
I mean, that's the wild thing is they almost beat themselves against Houston and still didn't fucking lose.
Yeah, because it reminds me of the Shaq Kobe Lakers, right? Like that last year when Detroit ended up winning it all.
Yeah, which is us,
right?
In that
which
theory?
Is us in that theory.
Lowry's Billups. Cheers.
Yeah, no, it's true. Like, but that's the in my mind the only scenario where it's not them.
Okay, last NBA question. You ready, Alex? I'm going to start with you. Who is the most underrated player of the 2018-2019 season?
Can you think of a year when somebody would put up a 60 burger and a 50 burger in the same year and just not really get talked about that much? I think it's either Booker or Blake. Because
Blake is a good
Griffin getting traded to Detroit, and then everyone's like, well, it's not like
he's had a great season.
Yeah, he's had a great season.
Couldn't agree more.
And for whatever reason, that this league has all the media, a lot of the players, and whoever else has fucking felt that Chris Paul is the goddamn Pope. And that, well, if Chris Paul didn't get along with Blake, it's because Blake's not a winner. No, clearly Chris Paul is seeming like he might be the fucking problem in a lot of these situations.
I love how the Pope is your barometer for like...
Yeah, well,
he said the Pope,
yeah. Who no one says anything bad about. I haven't read the news since 1990. But
no, Blake's good. Blake's been so good. I mean, he played Kawhi well.
Yeah,
he's been a superstar this year. He's going to be an All NBA selection, I think, for a lot of like people who have votes.
Doesn't even look weird when he hits like a sweet step back or fadeaway. Now it's just like, right, you can just shoot. Like it's not even a thing that you think about anymore.
I mean, I'm skewing the stat, but he's like, I think he's like tops in the league, like top 5 or something, on made step back threes.
That's nuts. That's nuts.
Yeah, and
that is nuts.
And it's a player. He's a guy. I mean,
people are running screens.
If I'm getting this wrong, sorry,
he's not even a guard. Yeah. Like, think about that. That's crazy.
And everybody said the minute he loses even an ounce of his explosiveness, he's out of the league.
Which is totally not true. Yeah, his skill is really working for him.
Yeah, man.
That's so insulting because so many players like who have that explosiveness, like they grow right in their game experience.
Totally.
Like.
But Booker has a 60 and a 50 and no one's talking about it. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, the Booker thing's weird too because like he also dropped a 70 like when like super late in the season last year. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think 70 or a triple double or whatever is so amazing that it's like whatever you think, whatever selfishness or whatever you feel about it, it's like it's so hard. What are you talking about? It's crazy.
When you're on such a bad team and then you do that well, people are like, "Oh, you exist."
Yeah,
and then that is the conversation,
right?
Which is I can't think of a better answer than Blake.
Than Blake. Is there anyone else that comes to mind? I think Blake is the best answer. I got a guy.
Okay.
Okay, so I let me just make the point here that it's narrative too, because I think a lot of people are still like, oh yeah, stats are amazing. But I think...
Oh no.
Yeah, I think...
Oh no.
Wait, who do you think I'm going to say?
Rusty?
Like Russell Westbrook?
Yeah.
No,
no. Thank Christ.
I think he's properly rated because people hate him, but then there's also people who love him.
Yeah.
No, my guy is Karl Anthony Towns.
Oh!
Because I think Karl Anthony Towns... if he was like slightly better on defense, people would look at his numbers and be like, "Oh, that's the best big in the game."
Mm-hmm. I think he's properly rated.
Well, the thing is, he had the whole Butler thing. He can't really make his team win, Towns. But I think it's also pretty hard in the West, and I think he's very, very young still, and still has enough talent where. He looks, he's probably going to be an all NBA selection, and people are like, this guy can't win. But it's like he's also 22 or 23, and I think he's going to figure out how to win. And Davis can't win, Anthony Davis.
This is true.
But he can play D. That's a bit of a difference between
I will
Towns.
say my criticism on Cat has always been like, I don't see somebody being the best player on an NBA championship winning team that sounds like they're a subdivision. You know what I mean? Like he
Carl
sounds
Anthony Towns.
He sounds like he's a fucking neighborhood. This guy.
You know what? Yeah.
Oh, I live at Carl Anthony Towns. Whoa, sorry, didn't realize your parents were so rich.
That's a really good takedown of Towns, and I'm taking my answer back. It's Blake Griffin. Towns sound like a subdivision. Piss off. You know what I mean? Okay, let's. Is there any more? Is there anyone popping in your head there, Catherine?
No.
Cheers. Okay, great. Before we do quickish questions, Matt, why don't you tell us all something we don't know about Corliss Williamson?
He played 42 games for the Raptors during the 2000-2001 season. Mm-hmm. We traded him mid-season to Detroit, where he later won a championship, so good for him.
Good for him. Screw that guy, right? Sure.
Sounds like it came at your expense. So good for him. Enjoy your ring.
Did you know his nickname was Big Nasty?
No, that's great.
Did you know he's one of the few players to have the distinction of winning a championship in the NBA, the NCAA, and the AAU?
No, that's pretty damn cool. Because the AAU, that's just high school, right?
Yeah. And did you know that he is the assistant coach for the Phoenix Suns?
No.
Well, now you know.
Quickish Questions!
Oh my God. I just got my socks rocked. Heads up, I cue the segments. Matt, if you cue that Quickish Questions next week, you're getting your head punched off.
Don't overstep the line.
I'm
gotcha.
And never, just don't forget I'm a street fighter. I'm a trained street fighter. Cheers. Pool ball and a sock for you. Okay, let's do some Quickish Questions. You both have been on the pod many a time. You know how this works. I'm gonna stumble through some questions, read them.
Oh, you didn't practice the questions?
No, I didn't practice the questions in the mirror. No, get out of here, you weirdo.
Hoodie up, full 8 Mile. Who's been the best defender? No one's talking about this year.
I'm gonna start 8 miling these Quickish Questions, and I think it's gonna pay off. Like I was like throwing some mom spaghettis or whatever.
Cheers.
Okay, here we go. Alex. Who you want to see least in the first round and why?
Oh, God. I have such anxiety about all 3 potential teams that we could play, but Orlando, not just because they won all 3 and not just because they blew us out, but I mean, just being... they play some pretty good defense and some pretty good 3 defense.
Yep.
And I feel like they would actually, it's odd because they would match up the best against us and probably we would take them the lightest.
Catherine. What do you think?
I get a different question.
That's right. What do you think Kawhi will average in the first round?
Oh, God. Who knows? 27?
Yeah.
Great.
Feels like a good number?
Yeah, it's Quickish Questions.
He's averaging 26.
He'll get like 30 in like one of the games, but I think he'll average 27.
Matt.
Yeah.
Will Jurassic Park be blocked off an extra street back? Used to be just all open, now there's sections, ! This reader's pissed.
Yeah, and don't you have to pay to get in now?
Yeah.
What?
I think you do, yeah.
It's been corporatized.
Yeah.
So are they gonna make it bigger?
Whoa.
Yeah, I think it's gonna you can go as far back as the aquarium.
I love it.
Watch the game from in there.
Alex.
Just go to the bar, kids.
Does Kawhi need to be more willing to pass when he's in deep and 3 players collapse on him?
Yes. What? Yes. Next question.
Okay,
yes.
great.
Of course. Yes.
This is Quickish Questions, and Alex is rocking it. Catherine. Besides us, who is the biggest threat to take out the Bucks in the East?
There is no bigger threat. We're the biggest threat. But besides
us.
I'll say Philly.
Okay. Matt. Kawhi Leonard just had a baby boy. What do we need to do to get Mark Leonard?
Mark.
Yeah, I guess Mark Leonard Jr. On the Canadian national team.
Ooh.
Whoa.
Well, you probably have to get him into, one of those fancy Montessori schools first.
Okay.
Waldorf's?
Sure. Okay.
So he's not allowed to watch TV or you get kicked out of Waldorf's. So.
All right.
Waldorf's?
Maybe the weirdest way you could have answered that. Okay. Alex, we'll skip the Montessori Waldorf weird ass tangent Matt went on. Okay. Okay, just so this isn't a longer answer. It's ranked the bench players in order of how many minutes per game they'll play in the first round. So by bench players, let's just do Serge, Fred, Norm, OG. So let's leave out Lynn.
Oh.
Okay, I think we need to get a Canadian baby to marry Kawhi's baby. That was to answer the last question.
No Waldorfs.
And private school.
Yeah, in private school. Okay.
Sorry, I had to. I think depends who we play, obviously. Let's say it's Orlando. Serge will get the most amount of minutes there. And that will be about like 12 a game, probably, if not more. Probably more for sure, actually, the way they've been switching those guys out, like maybe like, around 20. Maybe they're just like splitting them right down the middle, which I wouldn't mind, especially against that team. And they'd probably be out a lot with Gasol anyways.
Right.
And then you'd see Fred next, because who else, always. Yeah. And that's going to be about 15, 17, 18. If we're doing really well, 20. And then OG and Norm probably getting like, 8 to 10 each.
I like it. Okay, last question. Cathryn, this is a pretty big question.
Wow.
The better giveaway, free fries, free pizza?
Pizza.
Yeah.
Definitely the pizza, because you're never going to McDonald's just for the medium fries.
You're not.
And then I feel like it's complicated, but with the pizza, although pizza, sorry, not my favorite. If they ever sponsor you, just cut this. But but at least you're going there and you're getting the main thing.
Yeah,
which is the pizza. It's just easier.
I'm a huge Taco Bell fan. I'd really appreciate if they'd give away free fries Supremes.
But that's never actually been the giveaway, though.
Not at all.
Oh, well, that's a different question. That's a different question.
That's just my personal wish. Okay.
Yo, did that signature just say different question? Oh, I thought you had one right. Different question.
Freddie asked a different question. Freddie's having a seizure. That's the pod. Thank you both so much for doing it. Matt, Matty D, I love you, goddamn.
Brother.
Before we ask the guests what they got going on, find us on iTunes. Find some place to
Stitcher,
electronically support us.
Spotify.
We're trying to rise up out of the ashes here.
Yeah, big time.
Okay, Alex, you're doing shows all the time. This is coming out tomorrow, April 10th. Where can people check you out? I know I'm doing
Superstars of Comedy on April 20th, Passover Saturday, and 420 at Comedy Bar. It's Superstars of Comedy. It's a good show.
Where can people find you online? We'll put your
Wood Comedy on all platforms: Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and you can check out Wood Comedy subscribing to the Confederacy of Dunks on YouTube.
Find one of the subscribe. That's how you find them. Okay, Cathryn, beyond waiting a calendar week to subscribe to us on YouTube, what do you got going on?
I don't have a whole lot going on. To be
nice. That's pretty dope.
I don't have tons going on. Shows. Oh, I'm doing the Riv next week. That's cool.
Great.
There's that. And then you can find me online at it's me_Cathryn.
And
terrible handle, but I wasn't a comedian when I came up with it.
And so if folks want to check you out doing any like live comedy, they can go to the Rivoli. And
yes.
And how much does it cost? Just one Fisherman Friends packet?
Yeah. Yes. If you show up to the Riv with Fisherman's Friends, I will pay for your admission.
Okay. So we think.
Do you think Nick Nurse listens to this?
I think so.
Absolutely.
I actually think there's a good chance Nick
He
Nurse,
probably has so many free fisherman's friends.
I'm sure he's faking going to the washroom and listening to this pod, even though it's not in the cloud yet. Like he's somehow tapped our recording.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks everyone for listening this whole season. The podcast has got a bunch more listeners, way more support, and we really, really appreciate it. And yeah, it's so fun. It's like my highlight of my week every week. And
we'll continue throughout the playoffs, and then we'll hit the off-season specials again. Once
you better damn well believe it. It's going to be a nice deep playoff run. We're going to try and do Tuesday recordings and coming out on Wednesday, but we're going to have to be a bit malleable because the Leafs are in the playoffs, and Matt's a hardcore fan, and we got to watch games. We got to watch the Raptors
and the Raptors games. Yeah, we can't just be recording through.
That's right. You can't do it.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. Thanks so much for listening to the podcast, and see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.